We will not bow down. Let my people go. We will not bow down. Let my people go. We will not bow down. Let my people go. We will not bow down. Let my people go. We will not bow down.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 85 of the Croydon Constitutionalist podcast, bringing classical liberalism to South London and beyond via our YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Dan Heaton and my partner in podcasting today is Mike Swadling, the co-founder of the Croydon Constitutionalist. Mike, how you doing?
Good, Dan. The summer continues, although slightly heat abated, which is nice. And all is looking bright with the world.
Yes, it's a bit too muggy for my liking, but I am from up north, so this is all foreign to me, really. Well, we're delighted to be joined today by Steve Gardner, the SDP candidate for Uxbridge and South Ruislip in the upcoming Parliamentary by-election. Steve, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, guys.
So, Mike, we've got a few questions for Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Steve, we recently interviewed you for our website and would encourage people to have a look at that. But one thing you touched upon in the interview was that your background was in the army and you made it up the ranks to be a captain. Just tell us a little bit about your time in the army and what you did there.
Okay, so I actually served 5 years in the army. My commission came afterwards when I joined the ACF. I did a TA Class B commission to become an officer then. But when I joined the army in 1989, January 1989, as a junior leader, I think they stopped the junior leaders a few years after that, and then did my 5 years and left from there. So I was in the Royal Corps of Signals. And my trade, I was a very flash name of telecommunications operator brackets radio, which is flash for radio operator, or as it used to be called, combat radio operator. So my main role was exactly that, sending messages and that on the radio. I was attached in Germany to the 3rd Armoured Brigade, and in that role I was used more in the recce. So I would be going out with an officer, or we were doing recce for the sites for the tanks, or the panzers as we called them, and that kind of thing. And then I was, when the first Gulf War happened back in the day, I was 18, we were incorporated into 204 Signal Squadron, which was part of 4th Armoured Brigade, the Black Rats, so part of the Desert Rats from World War II, the 7th Division as it was then. 4th Armoured Brigade was part of that. So 7th were the Red Rats and we were the Black Rats. And that's just kind of how it fell. So yeah, that was pretty much it. But I served in the UK, I served in Germany, I did a tour in the Falkland Islands, which was actually, I really enjoyed that. I extended my tour down there, and of course in the first Gulf War.
We've just had Liberation Day in the Falklands. How long were you out there for? And what? I mean, somewhere many of us know about, but what's it like?
Pretty much, if you'd imagine Wales with no trees, sort of thing. So it's kind of like that. When I was down there 10 years after the Falklands War. So I was there about 92-ish, and my tour was originally for 4 months, but I extended to nearly 6 because I think they were short on sending me out a replacement. I was part of JCUFI, which was the Joint Comms Unit Falkland Islands, but our detachment was called Jock Radcon, and we were sort of deployed just outside of MPA. So Mount Pleasant Airfield is where pretty much the military presence is based. And that's about 50 miles or so, or something like that from Port Stanley. It's a fair schlep. So it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere. And we were sort of based outside there because our role was kind of, so people couldn't just like come across us or anything like that. So, but I mean, the place in itself, I mean, the people were really, really friendly. We got really, really well with them. You kind of, the trouble was back then is that you kind of either got really, really fit or you drank a lot, was kind of the two sort of things to do, because there wasn't really much to do then because there was no internet or anything like that back then. So, or you became a snooker champion, which was the other one, because there was plenty of snooker tables.
Really, really fit or drunk a lot could perhaps be our motto as a podcast. And okay, so you came out the army eventually, and you now live in the constituency you're running. So that's good. Good being a local man. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about the area that you live, the constituency, and what's made you keep your family there?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm originally from Ealing, so I grew up in Greenford, which was a great place to grow up in the 70s and 80s. And it's pretty much when I left the army, I moved out to here. So it's like over sort of 25 years plus that I've been out here. And then kind of like the rest of the family sort of moved as well. So it's probably even longer when I think about it. But I think where I live now, so originally I lived in Harefield, which is kind of like on the fringes. Then I moved to actually what is the ward of Hillingdon West, it would be now. And then we moved from there about, as the crow flies, about 500 metres to where we are now, which is in the ward of Hillingdon East. And I think what's so good about here is that there still is a sense of community. I mean, it could be much better, but compared to some other places where I've been before, there is a sense of community. I mean, COVID really proved that in the way people were looking out for each other. We've got some really good schools here, some really good primary schools here. We've got good transport links, could be better, obviously. Good travel links, because we're not that far from the M40, M25, if you just want to sit in your car for a while, or the M4, so we're not far from Heathrow. So it's quite a good area for that. And also you're literally 5 minutes away from woods and the fields. And so it's kind of a good location for that.
So, Steve, you've told us you've got 3 priorities: to scrap the ULEZ extension, to fight crime through improved proactive policing, and to have affordable and suitable housing that prioritises local residents.
Yeah.
What would you like to do in each area, and how do those tie in with the wider SDP priorities?
Well, the ULEZ, and I've made no secret about this, and I think every other sort of borough that's surrounding the where the ULEZ extension is sort of being proposed to go feels the same. I mean, essentially it's a stealth tax, and no one around here is happy with it. No one at all. It's going to cause no end of grief. It's war against motorists. It's debatable regarding the environmental impact. If you look into the studies and stuff like that, it's not made much of a difference in central London. It has made a difference, but not much of a difference, not as much as you'd think. It's not going to make much of a difference out here. I mean, regarding that with the ULEZ and that, I mean, I think that's something that is going to be strong. The SDP would strongly support that wherever it is, because you're talking about, we've got a lot of self-employed people around here that are on the tools, as they like, as they like to say, electricians, plumbers, sparkies, chippies, that kind of thing. Self-employed builders, and their vehicles, obviously, through government advice was, buy diesel, and they're kind of like worrying, like, this is going to cost us a fortune. We won't be able to do free quotes anymore. If we have to drive somewhere, we're going to have to pay extra money. They can't afford to scrap their vehicles to get new vehicles and that. And that's, that's going to, if they're going to bring that in around the country, it's just going to cripple people. So it's just not, it's not well thought out at all. It's just a money making scheme. Regarding the police, police is always a touchy subject with people, but I firmly believe that the police have been badly let down by the politicians. And the reason is because they're not really allowed to police. They have to go out there day in, day out. And this is anyone in the emergency services, essentially. It's like the NHS is badly managed. It's not the people on the front line. You don't join the police just for the hell of it. You join the police because you want to make a difference to the communities. You want to uphold the law. You've got a strong sense of service. And I feel a lot of affiliation for the police, because lots of guys I served with in the military, male and female, went on and joined the police, and the trouble we have is that in a way we've lost the streets, because they're not permitted to police. They're not permitted to do their job correctly, because everything they do is open to scrutiny. And that has to change. It has to change. We have to let the police, it needs to be monitored. Of course it does. I mean, is it PPCs that they have? These PCCs, like Sadiq Khan is the one for London that overlooks the Met. Okay. So he's one of those. But then what experience does he have about policing? Why is that position not put out to ex-senior officers of other forces to come in and be that force's PC. I don't know. Why is that down to civilians to do that? I've never really understood that. And so they need backing. We need more police out on the streets. Community policing does work. Police that get out there, that are there doing their jobs, not afraid to do their jobs. And let's get the respect back for the police. It's not the rank and file's fault. I think, again, they've been badly let down. And it's something else that the SDP, you know, they're socially right-leaning, there's economically left-leaning, although they are a centrist party. But you've got to have, we believe in family, community, nation and industry sort of thing, but you can't really have that sense of community unless people feel safe in their communities. And the only way to do that is that we've got to ensure that our law enforcement actually works, you know, and works well, and get that back in. Affordable and suitable housing, I mean, that should be a priority all over the country, and prioritizing residents. I mean, where I grew up in Ealing, sort of, you know, it's people move out from those that were born in sort of central London and stuff like that. Each generation tends to move out further and further because they're priced out of where they grew up, and that's why there's no sense of community, because the community's not there. And in a way, I'm lucky because where I live, most of the people are sort of kind of pensioners, let's just say, for example, or people with families. There's the same as what I am. You know, I've got 2 kids that go to the local school. And because they've sort of grown up, and for example, my mother-in-law was born here at Hillingdon and used to live like 2 roads away from where we are now, sort of thing. So there is still that sense of community, and the only way to do that is that you prioritise your local residents to sort of keep that in there. I mean, everyone's entitled to suitable and affordable housing, of course they are. But we need to make it so it's fairer for the local residents, so people do live closer to their parents, their uncles, their aunts, or whatever that is, their cousins, you know, because my kids are lucky because they know all of their cousins on both sides of the family, because we all live within a 5-minute walk of each other. And that kind of thing is what really sort of bonds people together, bonds communities together, and makes communities safer.
Oh, very interesting. So I think what you've said will charm a lot of people listening to the podcast. Obviously, you're out there looking for votes in the upcoming by-election. How could any listeners get involved in your campaign?
Got a social media presence. So I'm on Twitter. So if you put in Steve Gardner SDP, at S Gardner SDP, I've got a Facebook page, which is Stephen Gardner Social Democratic Party. And of course, there's the SDP website, sdp.org, which can get involved there. I mean, people can, it's got my details, my email address and that on the Twitter page and things like that. And people are more than welcome to email me with anything. I mean, I'm trying to get out and about. It's a bit difficult because we're not Labour or Conservative or Lib Dems and that. We don't have this huge machine. We're a grassroots party, even though we've been going kind of like 40 odd years. We're very grassroots, and we're all doing it ourselves. But the support I've had from the party has been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And actually, talking to the people in the streets, they're quite ripe for change. I mean, it's been very heartening speaking to people and telling them, you know, look, this is us. Here's our website. Here's our policies. You go and make your own mind up. But I think what also helps around here is the fact that I am local. And I've been, you know, I've been living here a long time, and I think that does make a difference too, because, you know, I genuinely care. I genuinely care about the area and its people.
Well, we'll certainly follow your fortunes in the campaign, and best of luck.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So, Mike, what have we got on our website at the moment?
Yeah, we've got a few new articles on the website. First up, we've got an interview with Martin Hartmann, the president of the Libertarian Party in Switzerland. So going across the seas to speak to some like-minded people. One of his quick quote from him: "People have forgotten self-responsibility. They can no longer decide for their lives, and they don't want to." So yeah, interesting read how small party politics, libertarian politics plays out in Switzerland. Have a look. We have an interview with Steve, who we've just spoken to. So more details from Steve, a bit more background, a bit more detail on how you can get involved. Really echoing much of what he's already said, but some more. So yeah, give that a look. Have a look. Also from the SDP, Jonathan Mabbott, the SDP candidate for Bethnal Green and Stepney. Now that will be in the next general election, whenever that is. We got an interview with him. Some interesting stuff in the SDP, points out about the party. We passionately believe in democracy, freedom of speech, and a rational approach to policy. And I think that's a fair summation of them. More locally, in Croydon, another article on asking Croydon councils to do their job. For those that don't know, Croydon Council went bankrupt a few times over the past few years. We have a little focus on another Croydon Council property speculation that's gone wrong. They're looking for offers in excess of £10 million. The only snag being they purchased Davis House for £19 million in 2008. So a bit more talk about how your money's being spent badly, frankly. Then we got a couple of upcoming events. So depending when you hear this, on Wednesday, the 21st of June, we have our third Wednesday drinks in Croydon in the George. So that's from 7 p.m. on Wednesday, the 21st of June. Come along, meet up with like-minded Liberty lovers. And then on Friday, the 30th of June, we've got a Liberty drinks up at Baker Street. So a group of us are meeting up with sort of Liberty lovers across London on Thomas Sowell's 93rd birthday up at Baker Street in the Metropolitan Bar from 7 p.m. on Friday, the 30th of June.
Yeah, really looking forward to those events. Well, if you'd like to write for our website or have any stories you'd like us to cover, please do get in contact. You can do so via the Twitter at Croydon Const, via our Facebook page, via our website, croydonconstitutionalist.uk, or via email, croydonconstitutionalist@gmail.com. Well, do please subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel. Do please like, share, and leave a review. It's always good to get feedback, and it helps others to find the podcast. Well, thank you very much to Steve for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for the invite, gents.
And thank you to everybody for listening. Until next time, it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Stay free, everybody.